All righty. Thank you for being with us on this wonderful Tuesday and for taking the time to be part of the Master of Arts in International Administration information session. We have some exhilarating content to cover, but before we start, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Omar Perez. I'm an online enrollment advisor for UOnline. I actually cover many of the graduate programs that we host, and I'm honored to be part of today's presentation. And I hope that today's presentation will serve you in making the best decision for your career. Now, before we start, I did want to cover just a few housekeeping items. So first, the information session will be about 45 minutes in length. And if you get here late, you have to take a break or leave early, no worries. It will be recorded and be available for you after the session. Also, we want to make sure that the presentation is relevant to you. So if you have any specific questions, anything that you really want an answer to, absolutely make those questions for our panelists. And you can feel free to do so by utilizing the Q&A feature at the bottom. And of course, we have our enrollment advisor information on the bottom as well, for those of you that want to reach out to us at any time afterwards. And with the program at a glance regarding the MAIA program, you'll see that the way it's set up is that it's 30 credits in total, which is 10 classes. And each one of those courses is 15 weeks long. They're asynchronous courses. So there isn't like a mandatory time to be online. There is weekly deadlines for the assignments, but the way that you juggle your time from week to week is completely up to you. It's set up so that you're able to finish in 5 semesters. So for example, if you did fall, spring, summer semesters and did 5 consecutively, you would finish the program, which is 20 months. And as you'll see, it's SAG accredited, just like many of the programs that we have at the University of Miami. There's no type of testing requirements regarding the GMAT or GRE, so you won't have to worry about that component in the admissions process. And you'll find that the content in the courses is grounded in practice. A lot of what is covered in our graduate programs has to do with you actually being able to use it in real life situations. So a lot of our students give us that feedback that they really enjoy being able to learn about things that they're able to implement in their particular work site or in somewhere they like to work in the future. And today, I'm actually going to be joined by 2 amazing panelists. Our first one is our faculty member, Dr. Bradford McGuinn, who's the director of the MAIA program. He's also an alum of the University of Miami. And also we have an alum joining us, Anna Simcoe, and she will be here to share her experiences. So we're super excited to see what she has for us. And of course, anyone out there, any questions you might have, we highly encourage you to send them over to us, and we know that they'll have some excellent feedback for you. So without further ado, Dr. McGuinn, please start us off.
Well, hello. It is a privilege for me to be here this evening, as it has been to serve as director of the MAIA program now for a number of years. I serve also as a faculty member within the program, which allows me to get to know the students. And I think that's an important characteristic of any graduate program, is a sense of community that comes to exist course after course, and students getting to know one another, and students getting to know recent graduates, and recent graduates reaching back and providing advice to students in program currently. So I find myself twice privileged, once to be the director of program, but also to be in classes with students and allowing me to get to know them.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And I wanted to start off with my first question. What are some ways that you support students in the online program in the Master of Arts in International Administration?
Right. Well, we have weekly interactions through our assignments, of course, but we have Zoom sessions as well, which allows us from the 4 corners of the world to get together and to talk about, well, course-related issues, but also because of the nature of this the subject matter within the MAIA program, international administration, international politics, international economics, it provides us an opportunity to talk about what's happening in the world. And given the fact that we have students from all over the world, as you can imagine, it creates some very interesting, diverse, and textured conversations.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And thinking about some of the engagement with the students, what's the expectation that students can have in terms of mentorship opportunities, or maybe if there's more academic information they want to find out about?
Sure, what can be promised would be a very robust interaction, right? That is to say, for me and my colleagues here in the program, we welcome, in fact, it's a source of great, enthusiasm for us to have students who are interested in the course material, but perhaps even beyond the course material, looking for insights about how to conduct research or to pursue areas of interest they may have. A great number of our students come from professions. So that means that they will be bringing expertise that they will have in the work that they have done previously and deepen that expertise, but also to work across other domains, perhaps areas of study they've not had an opportunity to engage. And so speaking for myself and for my colleagues, we make possible resources for our students to increase the breadth and the depth of their knowledge.
Fantastic. And when it comes to the curriculum that's designed to prepare students for real world challenges, what type of ways does that happen?
Well, we operate across a number of disciplines, as I mentioned, from culture to economics, to politics, to national security, to questions of emergency preparedness, for which Anna Simcoe could speak with great authority, right? So we offer the students in a range of different areas of study, right, as part of their intellectual engagement of the subject. And then within the courses themselves, and you made a very important point at the beginning with regard to the practical application. So for example, we'll have in several of the courses tabletop exercises. And again, I would defer to Anna because she's really an expert in these areas here. A tabletop exercise, or simulations, or ways by which students are able to take knowledge but apply it in kind of simulated real world contexts. And so we like to think by the time the students have had several of our courses, they will have had academic exposure, right, to the subject matter, but also ways in which they can engage these issues in a very practical and pragmatic way, which my hope is, this is sort of the larger, ambition of the program, is the educational mission, but also to invest in that student the capabilities and the confidence to be able to analyze problems and perhaps to be the person in the meeting or the person on the Zoom call, right, who can make a presentation, right, and define lines of effort by which an organization might be able to address an issue or a problem.
Absolutely. And Dr. McGuinn, aside from what you had mentioned, of course, in terms of, the different types of activities that they do, is there any like unique project or applied learning experience that helps students connect more of that theory to practice?
Indeed, we may have individualized research projects where students are able to take an issue that is of interest to them, right, and pursue it in depth. We have extraordinary resources here at our Richter Library, which allows students, again, an opportunity for research in great depth across a number of different disciplines. And part of our mission, too, is to help students, some of whom have come to us right from undergraduate, others perhaps have been in the midst of a busy career, to engage research techniques, right, that'd be of value for their work in the MAIA program, but also going forward in terms of their careers.
For sure. And how does earning a Master of Arts in International Administration assist students out in the job market?
Well, I like to think, and I do so on the basis of experience, and I would welcome anyone who is interested to take a look at our website, and you will see there featured a number of our graduates who have gone off to do good and great things. with their careers, whether that's in the public sector or the private sector, applying what they've learned and their own talents. So I like to think that the MAIA program has a proven record of helping students, right, bridge the gap, so to speak, between aspiration and tangible reality in terms of engaging a meaningful career.
And kind of continuing that conversation on that topic, when it comes to, different organizations, employers viewing the degree, I guess, how does it connect to, let's say, the government, to nonprofits and like
Sure.
private sectors?
Well, I think a student who's demonstrated, right, an ability to deal with the material in an international administration program, where we will have conversations and coursework dealing with issues ranging from budgeting to designing a nonprofit, right, to operating in what are often some very challenging environments, right? That will say to an employer, as you mentioned, it could be government, it could also be in the private sector, that this is someone who has dealt with a number of different issues and problems of relevance to their organization. That they will notice too, again, from our website, that we've had students who've been employed right across a range of different organizational formats. A kind of a proof of concept, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And what makes this program especially suited for working professionals?
Well, I think part of that has to do with the technology. And as someone who's very new to the online world, I have myself received an extraordinary education, right, in terms of the program designers, right? And I think for students thinking about this program, it's a tremendous asset. I cannot emphasize that enough because we not only have the process in the development of the course with professionals who have a great deal of experience in designing online materials, but it's iterative. That is to say, each week, the program designer and the faculty member will meet, right, to determine if there should be adjustments, more of this, less of that, right? Which I think from the standpoint of a student would be a tremendous value because it means responsiveness.
Yeah, and Dr. McGuinn, I guess that just kind of naturally connects to what I was going to ask you next. And I think it's great to hear that because my next question was, how does faculty stay connected to students along their journey to support them?
And I understand that's very important in any context, perhaps particularly so in an online format. And that again is where the course and program directors and the people who are designing the individual courses have been so helpful in devising mechanisms, whether it's a collaboration with regard to a reading that I may have for a particular week where students can walk through the same article and perhaps see different things and compare notes, or an opportunity to share views with regard to research projects that are underway and collaborate on feedback. So as someone who's very much a novice in terms of the online world, it has been really fascinating for me, a revelation really, just how dynamic this process can be, how interactive it can be, how connected it can be.
That's really interesting. And one of the questions that we get a lot on the admission side
Yeah.
is students, asking about networking and being able to reach out to others within the university, outside of the university. So how does the program help students tap into, the resources that we have at the University of Miami, our global alumni and professional network?
Right, that's a very good question, and what I'd be asking as well. And what I can say is that in the courses that we have running currently, right, we have faculty members who are in turn sharing connections that they will have with colleagues on campus. There are a number of organizations on campus itself, whether it's our career center or our wonderful library or other resources that are available to students. So, for the in-person classes, I always emphasize with our MAIA students the importance of engaging a whole of campus approach. Because the tendency is, right, you focus on the classes you're taking and you move along. But this campus has an awful lot to offer. And I would say that to our online students as well, that part of our mission is to engage the campus as a whole as fully as time permits.
That's great to hear. And when it comes to students, either finishing the program or they just started the program, what opportunities are there for them to engage with international organizations?
Right. Well, that we can accomplish in a couple of different ways, not least of which through guest speakers that we'll have featured in the different courses. And we'll have opportunities for our online students to meet our speakers and get a sense of the organizations they represent. We, on a routine basis, publish connections or links to different organizations, whether they're local here in the Miami area or at an international level, whether they're our in-person students or online students. A big part of what the MAIA program tries to do is make the connection for our students to their careers, their life going forward.
All right, and Dr. McGuinn, thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
all those amazing details. And my last question was actually, what's the greatest strength of the faculty who teach in the online Maya program?
Well, the diversity of the faculty would be one aspect. The curiosity amongst the faculty members in their areas of interest would be yet another. And responsiveness, mentorship, a real desire to help students move forward in the program.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank
And
you.
Anna, I know you've been patiently waiting, and I kind of secretly said, you know what? I don't want to say too much. I want to give you the floor to give us a little bit, to have the opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So first of all, thank you again for having me. I always love engaging with future Maya students and engaging with the program that gave me so much. My name's Anna Simcoe, and I am the Emergency Preparedness Manager for the University of Miami and also a MAIA alumna. Don't hold this against me, but I got my undergraduate degree from the University of Florida, where I also studied international relations and political science. And that kind of left a taste for wanting more. So when I was looking for jobs, I knew that I would want to someday start studying during my career again. And that's how I kind of came here to the University of Miami. I really love working with the different student groups and the different faculty and events that we get to do here at UM. And I hope that everybody who has a class or spends any time on campus or engaging with us gets to enjoy some of the amazing things we have to offer.
Hmm.
All right, amazing. Great to hear that. And thinking about, your experience, and of course you mentioned, why it was you moved over to the University of Miami. What specific professors or courses made the most lasting impact on you?
Well, I had some really great professors, not just Dr. McGuinn, although he was certainly one of my favorites. I'm not just saying that because he's here on this call, but the other professors, including Dr. Abaka, Dr. Mulukova, they bring so many different perspectives and so many unique pieces of information, things that I, in my job in emergency management, don't really get an opportunity to explore very much. So, learning different things about world religions, learning different things about human security and how the environment reacts to international relations and how those things are connected, that all teaches your brain to work in a kind of unique and special critical thinking type of way that you can apply to your job or just, knowing more things and being a smart person in the world that we're living in.
Hmm.
All right. And again, kind of thinking about, courses, professors, kind of extending a little bit more. Um, what projects or assignments helped you directly apply some of the knowledge to your current career?
So there were, as Dr. McGuinn mentioned, there were these tabletop exercises that we did where we took a scenario and we worked through how we would respond to this scenario if it were happening in the real world. And that was absolutely wonderful because it gave you a no fault, no blame environment to try and figure out how things work and what works best in different situations. So Dr. McGuinn brought in people from FEMA and emergency management professionals to help us lead and guide through the tabletop exercises. And that was really, really valuable to me in my career as an emergency manager to go through those emergency management steps. But another thing I found really valuable from the course was the international organizations course, where I learned more about different organizations and how those come into play in everyday things we read on the news, things that affect us as we're, planning travels and all of our daily life stuff. But all of that was it came into play to me a lot. And I really enjoyed learning the different theories and learning how to apply the specific international relations and international organization knowledge to global emergency management problems, to things that I'm reading in the news, and to daily situations that come across in my job all the time.
All right. And I know at the beginning you spoke about the areas you went into and the passion that you had in terms of what you were looking for. And regarding the Maya degree, how did that influence your career path and, some of the opportunities that you looked into?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think first of all, a degree from the University of Miami, it's desirable to employers. This is a great institution, and showing that you went through a graduate program here shows that you have the discipline to really sit down and learn. So this gave me the leverage I needed to get a promotion in my current job and get a little bit more money, which never hurts at all. And it also opened a lot of doors within my current job so that I could explore other areas. I'm really happy in my current position, and I absolutely love being here. I don't want to go anywhere anytime soon. So being able to add to what I already have has been really desirable for me. And I get to do things like start projects with the global emergency management, looking at our study abroad students and thinking about how we can best help them plan for the different areas that they're going to, working with different faculty that run programs in different countries, especially in countries where there are conflicts, and thinking about how we can best be prepared for those things. So all of that was really awesome for me when I was studying.
Super interesting. And kind of taking your experiences and looking back at, the different roles, opportunities available to students, how do you see Maya graduates being a good fit in these different types of roles and industries?
So the Maya program is very diverse in the curriculum. You get to learn about lots of different aspects of international administration that you can, of course, apply to things like careers in the State Department. Some of the graduates have gone on to take the Foreign Service exam. I know many of them now work at Southcom or have now left Southcom to go pursue other paths after getting that great first step. But you can take those kind of more obvious international relations careers that kind of come into mind when you think about a degree in international administration, and that's fantastic. But the soft skills that you learn, the things like critical thinking, synthesizing a ton of information from a ton of different sources, public speaking, being a good writer, all of those will help you in any career that you choose. And I know for a fact that Dr. McGuinn, specifically with his writing coaching, helped me a lot with the plans that I write for emergency management. So you can really apply it to any kind of discipline. And I would just say to pick your passion and go with that.
Excellent. And when it came to, of course, you a graduate student in the program, how did you manage balancing your studies with work and personal responsibilities?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually started the program in 2021 when we were still kind of mid-pandemic. And as my job in emergency management, that was a tough time for me, but I didn't want to delay my studies any longer. So I had met with my first professor was going to be Dr. Mulkova. So I had met with her and I explained to her my situation that, hey, I am really kind of going through a tough time at work, but I want to be able to participate and do everything for the class. And she helped me find some strategies that would help me get ahead so that I could maintain my coursework. And the starting with just one class at a time was a really big beneficial thing for me as well, especially during that time in the pandemic. And when I was continuing the program during hurricane season in the fall semester, I still only did one class at a time because for me, that was the most manageable. I know a lot of people who were working and were able to balance 2 or 3 classes at the same time as working, but you don't have to bite off more than you can chew. You can kind of start with the one class at a time. And I would advise, if you're not sure if it's going to work with your schedule, start with that, and definitely start by talking with an advisor about how to, best fit it in your schedule, thinking about what classes to start with first so that you're not overwhelming yourself, but you're not delaying your progress any longer.
Yeah, and Anna, thank you for sharing that because that's actually a big question that we get, or a frequent question, excuse me, that we get from, applicants. And one of the things they ask us for is, what's that one piece of advice? And I think you shared a lot of great information regarding you personally. I guess what's like just one kind of big advice that tip that you want to absolutely share with future applicants?
I would say that if you can, if you're comfortable, push yourself out of your shell. Talk to the other people in your classes. Even if you're in online classes, you'll hopefully get a roster and be able to message each other. These people will become your inner circle for the jobs that you have. They're like your own cabinet, your own advisory board. And building the network that you can build in the MAIA program with your classmates and with the faculty you engage with and with the guest speakers and the other networking events, the people you meet, that's going to be what can really help you advance. They're going to be the people you can bounce ideas off of. They're going to be the people who will help you in your career. So if you're comfortable with it, push yourself out of your shell, talk to people, and really just try to engage as much as you possibly can.
Right. And how has being part of the University of Miami alumni community benefited you after your graduation?
The alumni community is a really, really great community to be a part of because there's constant events and there's constant professional development opportunities that they're advertising that you can engage with. It helps you stay connected with other alumni. And I believe there's also, different groups. If you all live in California, you can find University of Miami alumni who all are over there and get together in that same way. But the resources, the professional development, the networking opportunities, and not to mention the fun. They put on great events for homecoming and things like that, and it's okay to have fun too. So definitely take advantage of those alumni opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And with the last part here, for Dr. McGuinn and Anna, I basically just wanted to see if there was anything extra that you wanted to include, something maybe we didn't cover that you felt was, hey, this is something that you should know.
Shall I go then?
Go ahead.
All right then. Well, I would underline what Anna has said. I think engagement and coming out of yourself, that's a very important point indeed. And whether that's in the classroom or online, we have multiple mechanisms and ways in which our students can express themselves, get to know one another. I think I mentioned earlier that we have a very supportive network of our graduates. And on a regular basis, I will reach out to a graduate, maybe 2, 3, 4 years out of program, because I have a current student who's thinking about working in this sector or that sector. And before I know it, the two of them will have gotten together. And perhaps the graduate will have provided some really critical guidance to this current student in terms of navigating the path forward, which can be a challenging one, right? As you are a student, you're looking for that next step. So I would endorse that view as well.
Yeah, and I would just say to remember that it's a learning environment. And so when you're making those comments and asking those questions in class, never be afraid to ask what you need to ask or say what it is you're thinking because everybody is learning together. You might be in a class with a chief of police from some city, but he's there learning too. So we're all equals. Everybody is a peer and everybody is trying to better themselves. So don't be intimidated just because you're in a class with certain different professionals that might have very high titles. We're all students, we're all trying to better ourselves, and we all learn a lot from each other.
Well, thank you so much for all that information, Dr. McGuinn and Anna. And before we conclude, we did want to cover just a few more aspects related to the program, and especially continuing with the line along the community aspect and the different resources available to students. We have a number of different resources to help students feel connected to the Canes community. And again, just to emphasize, our online students have the same access to the same resources support as our campus students, as their peers on campus. There's no difference. The only difference is the modality. So from Topple Career Center, providing support for job opportunities, interview support, the Writing Center, disability services that we have, Launchpad for any entrepreneurial students, any ideas you might have there, the Graduate Student Association, our online library, of course, with the infinite number of resources there. And it's not listed here. We do have veteran resources as well. So military students are a big part of our community as well, in addition to many of the other types of students that we get. So again, just thinking about community and keeping everybody connected as you go through your journey. And so with that in mind, in terms of, okay, we've covered the information, we've heard a lot of great things. Now, how do you get started? So with that part in mind, in terms of the admissions process, of course, you'll need your official transcripts, 3 letters of recommendation. By the way, these are all done through the online application process. So there isn't anything you need to mail in. Everything is done right from that portal. You'll upload you'll enter the information for your recommenders there. They'll be able to send the letters from there. So continuing your resume, students interested in utilizing financial aid. When it comes to the FAFSA, that's something that you do right away. You don't have to wait for any type of cue from us because that's something that we don't handle the processing for that. So you definitely want to do that as soon as you can. There's also a personal statement as well. And of course, the submission of the online application. And for students, of course, related to financial aid, any funding, enrollment advisors, we cover that information with you. Any questions you might have. For example, if you're a student who wants to use military benefits or anything like that, we do cover information for that as well. So again, we're available to you to cover any type of unique circumstances or anything like that. And again, you'll see it in the chat. We've sent it out again. Any questions you might have, don't be afraid to send those our way. If for some reason we didn't get a chance to answer them here, we'll be more than happy to reach back out. And so in terms of any deadlines related to the application, we actually have a early admissions deadline for Monday, November 3rd. One of the perks that we're going to be able to offer our MAIA applicants is you'll actually be able to get the application fee waived. So for those of you that, want to save a little bit of money, we highly encourage you to start the process as soon as you can. So you can meet the deadline there. Of course, any questions you might have, enrollment advisors, we're more than happy to help. For those of you that are ready to start right away, we have the link right there and the QR code down there as well. And again, going back to the funding part, because we do get a lot of questions for that, we're more than happy to help you with any funding questions you might have. And again, any of those one-on-one questions were available, as we mentioned, with the contact information below. So before we let you go, I wanted to say once again, thank you to our incredible panelists today. For the audience, we hope to see you soon as a future Kane. In the meantime, thank you. And everyone, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.